Hi, my name's Emily Haddy, and today I'm going to talk to you about the environmental and human influences on working equid welfare. Here you can see the three pillars of One Welfare: animal welfare, human well-being, and the environment. I'm going to show you how working equids, donkeys, horses, and mules, really illustrate the complex linkages between these three fields. Now, some people might think that science and storytelling are mutually exclusive, but I don't agree. Every data point in a study has a backstory, and so today I'm going to share with you a story. That story is called A Tale of Two Donkeys. Our story takes place in Mexico. It's based on a study that I conducted there. I carried out 120 equid welfare assessments and owner interviews across 3 states. Now, these states were very different, as you're about to see, and the communities I visited differed in their social dynamics. This meant very different lives for the animals living there. Let's return to our 3 pillars of One Welfare and our first donkey in the story. There are estimated to be approximately 100 million working equids across the globe. These animals contribute a huge amount to human well-being. Our first donkey, Abril, is vital to the livelihood of her owners. She supports a family who own dairy cows. Whilst the cows graze up in the pastures outside the village, Abril carries the milk twice a day down from the pasture into the village where it can be sold. She also carries cow feed from the village to the cows, and the young children in the family ride her to school. Working equids in many places are essential to enable people to access healthcare, education, and basic necessities. Our second donkey, Paloma, does just that. She supports her female owner whilst her husband works away. The owner uses Paloma to collect firewood and water far away from the village so that she can cook. Paloma's owner has a small plot of land where she grows maize, and she uses Paloma's manure as fertilizer, and in the working season, Paloma ploughs the land. She also lends Paloma to her relatives who don't have a donkey to plough their land, and that improves her social standing in the community. Our second pillar of One Welfare is the environment. Working equids can be a positive environmental influence. They produce natural fertilizer, cause less soil damage than ploughing with a tractor, and increase food security. But for this story, we're going to focus on how the environment influences equid welfare. Abril lives here, in the state of Veracruz. The climate is tropical, warm and humid, and as a consequence, Abril's owner can grow enough feed to keep cows, giving Abril her main job. The social environment is also important. Abril's owners live in a tight-knit, cohesive community where neighbours often share their best tips on donkey care. Paloma, on the other hand, lives here in Puebla. The climate is very hot and dry, and she often works in these extreme conditions. Water is scarce, the soil is nutrient poor, so growing enough feed for cattle is impossible. Instead, donkeys support household tasks. The village is remote, but the community isn't as cohesive as Abril's village. There are territorial disputes, social problems, and people rarely rely on others for help. The practices they learn have been in their families unchanged for many years. Now we get to animal welfare. As we've seen, both donkeys are relied upon to support livelihoods, but they can only do this if they're healthy and productive. This, unfortunately, is often not the case, and the reasons for this are complex and are affected by both environmental and human factors. For Abril, working in damp, humid conditions means she has skin problems. These are compounded by carrying heavy loads and means she often has open sores where the saddle rubs along her back. There is a local vet, as other people in the village use horses to herd cattle, so between the horses and the cows there's enough business for a vet. However, Abril doesn't provide a direct source of income, and as resources in the family are in short supply, the cows get priority veterinary treatment. For Paloma, there's no vet in the community, so her owner tries to treat her with traditional cures when she's ill, which can include bleeding, burning, and rubbing motor oil onto wounds. Because growing feed is difficult, her body condition is thin, and like a brill, she often has wounds caused by the straps and saddle rubbing her skin. In the hot conditions, flies also cause seasonal wounds, and working on the steep, uneven ground often means she has tendon problems, leading to lameness. So with the complex and co-varying nature of factors responsible for determining equid welfare, region, climate, working role, resource availability, cultural practices, and the social dynamics of communities, how do we address welfare problems? There are many NGOs trying to do exactly this. I spoke to the staff from 8 different animal welfare organisations working in a variety of countries to find out about their experiences implementing initiatives designed to improve working equid welfare. Organisations recognised the wide range of influences on welfare and employed a variety of initiatives adapted to suit the needs and priorities of their target communities. These range from training service providers to providing veterinary treatment, conducting research, participatory exercises, and lobbying for policy changes. Let's see how the story finishes for our 2 donkeys. The NGO that came to Abril's village built a strong relationship with the community. By working with key individuals such as the local vet and leaders of the Livestock Association, they were able to build trust with equid owners, and the workshops they ran on preventative care, management practices, and working equipment were well attended. Subsequently, work-related wounds in the area have decreased, and Abril is able to support her family better than ever. Sadly, not every story has a happy ending. Despite NGO's best efforts, community engagement in Paloma's community was low. Various types of initiative were trialled with limited success. Participatory workshops and training courses were poorly attended. The highest uptake was seen for a mobile treatment clinic run by the NGO with some local veterinary students. Overall, welfare levels in the community remain poor and efforts are ongoing. The story of the lives of our 2 very different donkeys really highlights the need for a holistic approach to trying to improve working equid welfare. These were just 2 animals from the same country. Imagine the differences in working conditions, culture, and environments experienced by working equids across the globe. Taking into account the complex linkages that welfare has with both environmental and human factors is vital to maximise the efficacy of welfare initiatives. Thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank my research funders and collaborators, but most of all the participants of the studies I mentioned, for giving me an insight into their stories. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with me on the email address shown.